Hi guys, excuse me in my dressing gown, it's 5 a.m, I've just about finished for the day. I just wanted to say a few things if you're going to the SPT and you haven't got that much live experience. I know, for example, Ryan's playing live for the first time. So just a few little things, not too much for you to remember, but just something that can enhance your enjoyment and also how you play. So the first time is enjoy yourself, enjoy the whole experience. It might feel quite slow compared to multi-tabling online, and everything's a bit slower because the dealer takes time to deal. Um, and and then just a few ideas about what I call technical awareness, and this is where you are sat in the table, what seat number you're in, where the players are, if you recognise anybody, know their styles. And then once the action starts, watch like a hawk everything that's going on. How many pots are people getting involved with? Do they have what position are they raising in? Is there much three betting going on? Are people's bet sizes consistent? At first, these little things on their own don't really give you the full story, but you're starting to build the story about the tendencies of your opponents. And when a hand goes to showdown, really, really focus on what happened in that whole hand, because now you've got some context. When you see their cards at the end, you've got context. You say, right, okay, so he raised under gun +1. He had Queen Jack. He got 3-bet and he called with Queen Jack. Sort of that type of thing. But notice anything that's slightly unusual, the raise sizes, what people are doing. So, and then the other thing I would say is, obviously with live players, you've got people there. So observing people is a big part of the game that you don't have when you play online. So enjoy that process of observing. Like in a normal everyday world, you can't observe somebody that closely. It would be intrusive. It would seem sort of like just overpowering. But on the poker table, that's what the game's all about. So you don't need to observe people like staring at them and trying to look aggressive or whatever, but just take a natural observation of them. Imagine that they're a sculpture, rather than a person. And look, you should know the colour of their eyes. You should know the complexion of their face. You should know their sort of build and whether they're breathing deeply or short. Those type of things are useful, very useful for many reasons that I'll come to later on. You're not trying to pick up tells at this time, but you're just trying to get a baseline in your subconscious that's going to help you make better decisions almost without you realising it. When you say, I just had that gut feeling he was bluffing, or I just knew that he had a monster. Now, sometimes these things are subliminal. So what you need to do is to get a good baseline of the person to start off with, of each person. So I'd observe each person very carefully. Often people think, this is slow, and they're looking at their phones and they're doing things, and they're missing vital things. Even if there's nothing going on with a hand, just observing the person in a non-judgmental way. You're not sort of like thinking, he looks aggressive, he's a bit of a character, or he looks like he can't really play very well, doesn't know what he does. Forget those sort of judgments. Just observe. So that was my first bit. Now if you're new to playing live, don't worry too much about trying to work out tells all the time, because if you're thinking about trying to see a tell and understanding tells, that your mind's sort of focused on that more than the other things. There are some things, obviously, that can help, but this general observation of your players don't be afraid to sort of look into a player's eyes, see what colour eyes they've got, see what, whether they got bags like me under their eyes or whatever, or whether they've got a younger, nicer complexion or whatever. But the point is that observe their sort of their body, because this has a lot of benefits that you wouldn't necessarily understand directly. It's not necessarily tangible directly, but also in the process that you're doing this, you're very mindful yourself. So with that, then you're less likely, if you're nervous, those nerves are less likely to be exposed. It also means that you're coming from a position of neutrality, because you're focusing and being mindful on what is happening around you and on the characters around you, and it then centers you more. I mean, I wouldn't worry about trying to look tough at the table or anything like that. Most people that are sort of like trying to look really tough and sort of like staring when it's usually because they feel the opposite. They feel a bit vulnerable, and they're thinking, I've got to look strong, I've got to look strong. Whereas actually, somebody that is just sat at the table, that is calm and confident, is far more powerful than somebody trying to sort of like look intimidating. So just recognise that. You don't need to look intimidating. You just to be yourself, to be comfortable at the table. Okay. You can also look at things like their hands as well when they're there. Just to start off with, just look. It might sound strange, but the shape of their hands. Have they got thin fingers, fat fingers, big hands, short hands, stuff like that. And then you can look, just sort of, their hands might be trembling a little bit if they're nervous, or they, and you can also look at how long they look at their cards for. They call it the apex, the amount of time that they look at their cards, and typically everyone's different, but it's genuinely thought that they look longer at their cards when they've got more marginal sort of decision to make, and less when they've got either do 7 or pocket aces. But everyone's different. Somebody might get pocket aces and look at it for 10 seconds because like, oh wow, I've got aces, and they want to almost so. But what you can do is observe people's natural tendencies of how long they look, and then if you notice any differences, and then like you see in 3-betting suddenly when they've looked at their cards really quickly, then that may be a sign that they've got a really strong hand. But also the opposite can be true, because but each person try and get a baseline by looking. I'd encourage having a chat at the table, being comfortable in your own skin, talking. Try not to necessarily give anything away about your style of play. If somebody sits at a table or whatever, and they lose a hand with pocket jacks, they say, oh, I hate jacks. Well, straight away I think I'm going to be bluffing you all the time, because the only people that hate jacks are people that are way too tight. So, that's just an example, because if I got jacks, I'd be very happy. Okay. Then just look at how people put their chips into the pot. Are they announcing their raise first? Are they confident with the coloured chip values that they've got in front of them? Nervous people will tend to fold more in general in marginal spots, but sometimes they will do the opposite, because they'll be aware that they're nervous, they won't like the feeling, and they're going to want to be more aggressive to try and sort of overcome, if you like, their own nerves, and to make sure that they don't look weak or something like that. So you can often tell by the mannerisms by which they sort of hold their chips, and also these things you can apply to yourself as well. And in general, I'd say if you feel any tension while you're at the table, because it's a new experience, it can be quite frightening in a way if you've not played live. And the typical areas of tension, sort of around the neck, the forehead, the jaw might be tightening. If you sort of notice things, just every now and again, just sort of like waggle your head, take a breath, breathe into the area where there might be some tension, and then just try and sort of go back to a normal way. But if you're observing other people, you will find as you're doing that observational process, as well as it helping you potentially later with your gut feel about an individual, it also means that your focus is not just about how you are, because if your focus is just about how you are, then it makes you more readable. The other thing is, when you do look at your cards, only look at your cards when it's your turn to act. Don't, like, if you're in the big blind, look at your cards straight away, because if you have given anything away when you looked at your cards, then people have had a chance to notice. But if you're in the big blind and you don't look at your cards until it's your turn to act, you can't give anything away because you haven't seen them yet. Okay, so don't look at your cards until it's your turn to act. That way you can only give away information to those acting after you. You can't give away any tells to those acting before you. Okay, so it's just something to bear in mind. Okay. Okay, yeah, probably just the last thing is, if you're in seats 1 or 9 and you've got the dealer stuck in between yourself and the opposite number, the number 1 or 9, don't be afraid to sort of look round the dealer, just, when the guy's about to act. And when you are observing people, if you can observe them as they look at their cards. So typically, if everyone's doing it as they should, looking at their cards when it's their turn to act, you should be able to sort of look at each player round and round as he's looking at his cards. You're not trying to get any sort of wonderful tells or whatever at this stage. I mean, there are things I could say about certain tells or whatever, but trust me, if you just have this awareness about your opponent, your subconscious mind is way more powerful than you think. If you've got this just general awareness of their disposition and how they are, in a way you'll sort of smell a rat when something's not sort of right about the way that they've played, and you can sort of smell that rat from the betting pattern, but you could also potentially notice something that they do, or that's different, that they don't just seem as you sort of, when you were observing them before. And obviously you have to interpret what that means. That might mean they're strong or they're weak, but once you've got that baseline. So that would be my recommendation, is enjoy that process. Don't just sit down, because you're going to have to be folding a lot of the time, and it's a slow process compared to online. The dealing takes much longer. You're only playing one table, but enjoy the process. Engage in conversation if people are friendly. Don't be frightened of what you say. Just be mindful not to sort of give too much away about your style of play, but generally sort of have a chat, be yourself, and the confident person on the table is way more powerful than somebody that's trying to act tough or trying to act in a way that they feel is intimidating. And often when people do that, it comes out of their own sort of fear. Obviously, sometimes intimidation will work, and sometimes, the opposite works as well. Get chatting with Daniel Negreanu or something, and he's probably going to find out all sorts of stuff about your game by sort of casual conversations. So, but generally these SPTs are a bit of fun. So enjoy yourself. Best of luck. I look forward to seeing you all there, and particularly like to Ryan and anybody else that's playing for the first time or hasn't played live much. Enjoy yourself, and hope this little sort of video might assist in some way to sort of helping you do well, but also enjoy the time of it. All right, cheers now. Bye.